Hey guys, this is Dave Canigliaro, author of Keeping Your Customers Addicted to You. Today, man, I got my buddy, Bob Burg. Bob is an author, a best-selling author. He's written tons of books. The one I've got in my hand, The Go-Giver. The Go-Giver sells more. The Art of Persuasion, Endless Referrals. Anyway, Bob's got tons of books. In fact, Bob, I was actually going over the weekend one of your oldest books, probably one of your oldest books, Memory Systems.
Oh yeah, the memory system. Yeah, that's an old one.
When was that written?
Gosh, I think it was in the early 90s.
Wow, man.
Yeah, before many of your viewers were born.
It's great though. It's a great book though. You know it's about how to memorize people's names and everything. It's great. It's great.
Thank you.
Bob, I want to talk about this book right here, The Go-Giver. And I'll tell you, man, that's really become like an animal. Like it's become a whole life. It's not just the Go-Giver anymore. It's Go-Giver leadership. It's Go-Giver, for teachers and all this stuff. I mean, this has taken on a whole life of its own. I love this book. Okay, I love this book. That. I've read it 3 times now. I love Pendar in the book. Pendar is the chairman. And let's talk a little bit about that. You co-authored this with John David Mann, who's a great storyteller.
Oh, amazing! The best. He is simply amazing.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about the book in the context and probably in the scope of. I talk to a lot of people, young people that have a lot of hunger, a lot of desire. Okay. But they seem to not have a lot of direction on how to put the pieces together. They want to make money, but they really don't know how to. Like in your book, you talk about give and value. Then give more in value than you receive in payment.
Yeah, which when you first hear that, it sounds a little counterintuitive. Give more in value than I receive in payment. Well, aren't I going to go broke? Right? And so we have to understand the difference between price and value, and this is significant. Price is a dollar amount. It's a dollar figure. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, what have you, that brings with it so much worth or value to someone that they will willingly exchange their money? And we say willingly because that's the essence of a free market-based exchange. They will willingly exchange their money for this value and feel great about it while you make a very healthy profit. In the story, we use the example of Pindar, of Ernesto Iafrate, one of Pindar's friends who owns the restaurant. And it's a fancy restaurant. It's a high-priced restaurant, and as Joe says, a swanky part of the city. And you go in there, and you're going to pay a lot for the meal. But the value you receive in return far exceeds what you pay, because from the moment you're greeted, you feel like a VIP, and the way you're seated at the table, and the way the wait staff comes to greet you and meet you, and they're there when you need them, but they know enough to leave you alone when you don't. The food is not only fantastic, but it's presented wonderfully. The entire atmosphere, the ambiance, everything about it is class. So you may have paid $100, $150 for the meal, but you come away feeling like $1 million.
Right.
So you receive more in value than what you paid. And of course, Ernesto, the restaurant owner, well, his the cost of goods sold, the expense of employees keeping the place open, obviously cost a lot less than what he charges. So in any free market-based exchange, there are always 2 profits: the buyer profits and the seller profits, because both of them come away from the transaction better off than they were before the transaction. So as a young entrepreneur, and I know a lot of the people who are your viewers are entrepreneurs who are really looking to get into something and make a difference and communicate great value, when you focus on that value, when you focus on just creating that fantastic customer experience, that's how you keep your customers with you. That's how they come back again. They tell others. They become your personal walking ambassadors.
Bob, that's great. That's good stuff, buddy. That's really good stuff. There was a practical thing that you wrote in one of your books. And in fact, you might have written this in a couple of books, because I know a lot of what you say is not necessarily, or what you write about is not necessarily repeated necessarily, but it's always like every time I read your books, it's always it comes across so fresh. It's like a breath of fresh air that comes in. And there's something that you do, and that you wrote about, that I do now, and I got it from you, where you write cards, handwritten note cards, to people. Now I do this all the time now. I mean, I've been doing this ever since I think it was Endless Referrals. Yeah. I've been doing this ever since Endless Referrals. Like my wife and I will go on a cruise or something, and I'm writing handwritten handwritten cards to the staff, telling them how I appreciated their service and all this. And I'll tell you, something as small as that goes. I mean, this is huge. I did it I'll give you an example. The first night we did it, I did it on a cruise. We were there like the first night. It's a 7-day cruise. The first night I wrote this handwritten card to the staff. The next time they saw me, coming out of the elevator, oh, Mr. Canigliaro,
Such a difference maker, David. And here's what I love about what you do and about what you teach. Because it's one thing to read something in a book, okay? It's another thing to put it into action. And people who are successful, they take ideas, they think about those ideas. They don't just accept something out of hand, but they think critically about it and how it would work, why it would work. And then they apply the information, which is so important. This is why we say we want people to be both go-getters and go-givers. Go-getters take action, right? They know that you can have great ideas, but unless you apply them, nothing's going to happen. Go-givers are people who are totally and laser focused on providing value to others. So when you combine someone such as you, a go-getter, someone of action, with a go-giver, someone like you who's focused on bringing value to everyone whose lives they touch, now you have a successful person. And I think what you just taught, even more than just that you wrote the personalized note cards, is of such great value, because it shows you've got to take that idea and actually apply it.
Bob, I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking as you're talking. I think the reason I love your book so much, as opposed to so many other like business type books, sales books, leadership books, a lot of what you write seems so spiritual to me, so like religious. That religious component of sowing and reaping. I love how and it's such a generous view of things too, instead of just taking, manipulating and things like that. It just seems like, and it's so sincere, and I love that component, to what you write about. I got a question for you. You talk about the 5 laws in your book: the law of value, the law of compensation, the law of influence, the law of authenticity, and the law of receptivity. Right, receptivity. I want to ask you this. Tell me about the law of influence, because I was actually trying to come up with a cool acronym for VCIAR, but it was just, I'm like, Vicar? I mean, how do you put this together? You know what I mean? But tell me about the law of influence.
Sure. Well, the law of influence says that your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Now, again, this sounds counterintuitive when you first hear it, but you think of all the great leaders, the top influencers, the most successful, highest earning salespeople. This is simply how they run their lives and conduct their businesses. They're always looking for ways to place that other person's interests first, to focus on what will bring value to that other person. Now, David, let me qualify this though, because I think this is very, very important and can easily be misunderstood. When we say place the other person's interests first, we certainly don't mean that you should be anyone's doormat, right, or a martyr or self-sacrificial in any way. Absolutely not at all. It's simply, as several of the mentors told Joe, and as you've seen in several of my books, the golden rule of business, at least in my opinion, business, of networking, of sales, what have you, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you from others than by very genuinely and authentically looking for, I guess you could say, moving from an I focus or me focus to an other focus, looking for ways to, as Sam, one of the mentors in the story, told the protege Joe, to make your win about the other person's win. And when you do this, and you do this consistently, and you do this constantly in the marketplace with the people you meet and the people you begin to know and form relationships with, people are going to feel good about you. They're going to know you. They're going to like you. They're going to trust you. They're going to want to be a part of your life, a part of your business. They're going to be a referral source. And as you do this, you attract even more and more people into your world who have that same philosophy. And, you know, that becomes very, very powerful. And then your influence really just takes hold. And it creates a lot of wonderful things in your life.
Let me ask you this. Let's see if we can get a little bit more specific instead of kind of broad, you know?
Okay.
Let's say somebody's owns a janitorial supply or a janitorial company or something like that, and they go in and they do commercial contract cleaning. Or let's say he's a handyman, okay, and he's trying to get his business, you know, booming like that. Or let's say, you know, auto detailing or whatever,
Sure.
Okay? Sure. Walk me through what advice you would give to this person on how to convince people that that your business is a tremendous resource and benefit to them.
Well, the first thing I would do is when you first meet people, okay, and that is whether it's at that stereotypical Chamber of Commerce business get-together or a charity event or a social party, whatever, is when you meet people, focus on them and their business. So in other words, let's say you meet someone, speaking of an example I've used from way back, Gary Malashevsky. He sells copying machines to businesses. And when you ask Gary what he does, and he's going to tell you, and then he asks you what you do, I mean, tell him what business you're in, but then go right back to Gary, asking him questions about himself and his business, not prospecting questions, not salesy questions, not right now. The person's not ready for this. Right now, you're just going to establish the relationship with this person. So ask what I call feel-good questions. Feel-good questions are simply questions that by their very nature, they're meant to elicit this person feeling good about themselves, about you, about the conversation. They will open this person up to wanting to get to know you more. So the first question you might ask is, Gary, how did you get started in the office products profession? Or how did you get started selling copying machines? Hey, this is not a slick question or a clever question.
Right.
It's pretty mundane, right?
Right.
But people love to answer it. Why? Because you're asking them something most other people have never asked them. You're asking them to share their story, to be the star. You're communicating to them, I find you to be of value as a person, not as a prospective customer or referral source. So this person's going to enjoy answering that. Another feel-good question might be, you might say, wow, you must have had some fascinating experiences over the years. And then the question is, what do you enjoy most about what you do? And again, it's a question that by its very nature is designed to make this person feel good about themselves and feel good about you. Now, you've maybe asked a couple of these questions and the rapport is beginning to be established. To me, this is the one key question that if you will ask this question, you'll see a response to this person that you just don't expect the first time. After that, you'll know it's pretty much all the time. And that is simply asking, how can I know if someone I'm speaking with would be a good customer for you or a good prospect for you? Gary, that's fascinating what you do. How can I know if someone I'm speaking with is a good prospective client for you? Mary, who's a chiropractor. You know, Mary, I love connecting good people with other good people. Tell me, how can I know if someone I'm speaking with is a good potential patient for you? So in other words, what you've done is you've asked this person how you can add value to their life in a way that they find to be of value. Now, when you're, make sure you get this person's business card because you're going to want to follow up, as you were saying, with that personalized handwritten note, and then you're going to want to use our follow-up system that we use. It's just a matter of keeping in touch, bringing value-based information, developing, fixing them up with other people, connecting good people with other good people. And by the way, if you're talking to someone who's not in sales per se, you might not say who's a good prospect for you. You might say, how can I know someone I'm speaking with is someone you'd like to meet? So it doesn't have to be anything specific. It's the basic principle that's involved. Now, when you eventually have an opportunity to get in front of this person, and your question was, how do we utilize these principles to really communicate value to this person, communicate why our company is the one they should go with, or why our service is the one they should go with. I think what's really important is for would-be entrepreneurs to really understand what selling is and what it isn't. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they love the idea of being in the business but not having to sell their products and services. Fact is, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to be your best salesperson, at least at first. But it's easier to do if you really understand what selling is. See, what selling isn't, and what many people think it is trying to convince someone to buy something they don't want or need or what have you. And that's not being a salesperson. That's being a con artist. And so understanding that, we understand what selling is not. Okay, but now let's look at what selling is, because this is what's going to describe those who are your viewers, David. I define selling as simply discovering what the other person wants, needs, or desires, and helping them to get it. Now, you do that not through telling them about your service or your product, not at first, but through asking them questions that are related to how they would use your product or service. In other words, you discover what they would want your services for. Only once you've really discovered that and you understand this person and you do that by asking questions and then listening. And then once you discover that, now you match the benefits of your product or service with what they want, need, or desire. But you can never, my friend Jeff Shore, who's just one of the greatest sales teachers, and he was a top producing salesperson for years. I love what he says, David. He says, salespeople all over the world are consumed with providing the solution without first knowing the problem.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And a good salesperson always discovers the problem or the need or the desire first before coming up with the solution.
And that's so good. I'm going to ask you to repeat that. Okay? That is so good. Just say that one more time, that last part, because it's so good.
Jeff Shore, yeah. Jeff said salespeople all over the world are consumed with providing the solution without first knowing the problem or understanding the problem.
That's right. That's right. Now, I know your birthday's coming up in January. I'm also born in January. And you're going to be turning 30, which I think is awesome. Right. Awesome.
That would be, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, let me ask you this. Let me switch gears here, okay? Because you're an author. You speak. You speak to small crowds, large crowds. You do the workshops and seminars and consulting work. Okay. Walk me through your day. Okay. Walk me through your day. What's a day look like? You're Bob Burg. You wake up. Walk me through your day.
Yeah, I think most people would find it pretty boring. I find it pretty interesting, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
But I get up at 5:30. Now, I do what a lot of people say you shouldn't do. They say you shouldn't check your emails early in the morning. Now, I don't check it on my cell phone. I'm too old school for that still. but I do go downstairs and I check my emails, my social media, because I have a lot that comes in during the night, it seems, and that's just something I want to get done. So I make that first cup of coffee, and I don't need coffee to wake up, and it doesn't keep me up at night. I just enjoy having it there when I'm working. And so that first hour is really catching up on emails, correspondence. It's of high value to me to get back to people and respond to them right away. And so I check my email, social media, Facebook, which is basically Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Then at about 6:30, my trainer Diane comes in. She comes in 6 days a week. 3 days a week we do resistance training, light weights, lots of reps. At 58, almost 59, as you were saying. It was nice to say 30, but almost 59.
Right.
Light reps, but lots of them. And then 3 days a week we do intervals, cardio intervals, what have you. And then she also prepares all my meals for me, so I know exactly what I can eat and what
Fantastic.
I can't. Yeah, I really have an issue with weight the older I get, and so I have to, because I don't have a lot of natural self-control when it comes to food, I have to really create the environment where I'm going to eat correctly, so I don't bring things into the house that I know I would eat if they were there.
Right.
And again, she prepares all the meals. Then after that, I shower and get ready, come downstairs. That's when the day really starts, and that's just a matter of what projects I have going on. If I'm in the middle of a book, obviously that takes that first couple of hours, or if I'm putting together a program, or if I'm preparing for one of my presentations and so forth. And so really, and then a few times a day, I'll check the social media emails, because I do a lot on that. And then I do a lot of reading. I read all the time, so that much of the day is taken up with that. And then it really, by the time I know it, it's the end of the day.
How much would you say that you could, when you're reading, how much would you say you're reading new stuff versus old stuff? Timeless stuff, classics that just will like these eternal truths that are just never going to go away versus, kind of the new, more poppy stuff.
Constantly reading the older stuff and
Yeah.
rereading it, and also newer stuff. I mean, I love reading anything about sales and influence and history and and politics. I just I enjoy a lot of that. But I would rather read something about like the life's history of Benjamin Franklin is by Walter Isaacson. I found was fascinating. I'd also read and totally recommend Benjamin Franklin's autobiography. The wisdom in that is just absolutely superb.
Yeah.
So there's so many books from the ages that we can learn that wisdom. It's phenomenal. And yet there are so many great books that come out that I want to read those as well. So believe me, there's not enough time in the day for me to read all the books I'd love to read. I could do nothing but just read and learn. I love it so much, but that's just part of it. The other part is we've got to plan, strategize, and also take action.
Well, my friend, I love you, Bob. Thank you for your time, man. Where can people find you? We're going to put this at the bottom of the screen anyway. Where can people find you?
Yeah, probably the best way is just to go to thegogiver.com without the hyphen, thegogiver.com, and while they're there, they can scroll down, connect with my podcast, as well as get an excerpt or chapter 1 from any of my books. They can check out the Go Giver Sales Academy program and so forth. And they can connect with me online if they like from there as well.
Awesome, guys. Listen, my Twitter followers, follow this guy, Bob Burg. And that's B-U-R-G. We're going to put all this at the bottom of the screen anyway. Hey, Bob, thank you so much, buddy. We're getting ready to go into the election as of right now, or the end of the election here.
Right.
And but this will actually be posted post the election. But I wanted to thank you for your time, man. Thank you so much. It's been good talking to you, man.
My pleasure. I love the work you do and the value you're providing so many people. Keep up the great work, David.
Thanks, Bob.